Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Rabab Kaur, who has specialized in musculoskeletal from Indian Spinal Injury Center, New Delhi. Today I am speaking on the behalf of School of Medical and Allied Sciences, Department of Physiotherapy, Calgotias University. I'll be discussing practical number 4 in our biochemistry lab today, which is to outline the structure and function of deoxyribonucleic acid, or what we have been commonly hearing since our school days, DNA. So we know about the terms DNA and RNA. So we'll be outlining the structure and paying more focus towards DNA today. So, recapping what we studied in our last lecture, we discussed about the balanced diet plan. We looked at various products and various components which are required by our body to function properly without any problems in the future to happen. We discussed about how much amount of proteins, fats, carbohydrates are required for a body to function properly. We discussed about the nutritional importance of fats, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. We also looked at that vitamins and minerals are not synthesized by our body, and yes, we need an outside source to compensate for non-reproduction of vitamins and minerals by our body. We also discussed about malnutrition, deficiency, and overnutrition. These three terms were described in detail, that what is malnutrition, what is deficiency, and what is overnutrition. So recapping and coming to the next slide, let's see about more into DNA. So what are our objectives for today's session? The aim is to outline the structure and function of deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. We'll be also discussing about the functions about DNA in detail, and we'll be discussing about Watson-Crick model, which is majorly responsible to describe the structure of the DNA. So let's take our aim step by step and let's see what we have in the presenting slides. So introducing the topic, DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the chemical name for the molecule that carries genetic instructions in all living things. So as this sentence suggests, what is DNA? Okay, let me take an example. We, the offsprings of our parents, have some features of our father and some features of our mother. Now, how does that happen? How does a child has the features of a father or a mother or maybe a first cousin? Why does that happen? How does that happen? It happens via DNA. Since DNA is the only chemical which is responsible for carrying the genetic information. For example, if my father has a feature in his DNA, I will be having his genetic information in me, and I will have features of my father. Similarly, if the genetic information of my mother is transferred, I will have that nature or a feature of my mother. So DNA is actually responsible for carrying out the genetic instructions from the parents to the offsprings, and hence that is the reason we have features of our father or maybe mother. So deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is a molecule composed of two polynucleotide chains. So it is a double-stranded chain. The way we tie the knot of our hair, it's similar in a similar manner. It is a chain of a two polynucleotide chains, and it is known as double-stranded chain, which coil around each other to form a double helix carrying genetic instructions for the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction of all known living organisms and many viruses. So, DNA, by this sentence, we understand that DNA is present in all the living organisms. It is not just present in humans, it is also present in animals or maybe reptiles or insects, anything which is living. So, everything is transformed, and it is not just responsible for transferring of the information from parents to offspring. It is also responsible for development of the living organism, proper functioning of all the organs of the living organism, proper growth of the living organism, and hence the most important part which every human being or every animal needs to have is reproduction of the living, having the capability to reproduce their own offsprings. And yes, it is also responsible for carrying out information in various viruses as well. Right. So DNA is made up of chemical building blocks called nucleotides. These building blocks are made of three parts: a phosphate group, a sugar group, and one of the four types of nitrogen bases. To form a strand of DNA, nucleotides are linked into chains with phosphate and sugar groups alternating. So we can see that yes, these building blocks, which we call the DNA, has three groups: the a phosphate group, a sugar group, and a nitrogen group, and they form a strand. The nucleotides are linked into chains, and we'll be seeing this structure of DNA much more in detail via the Watson-Crick model, which are in the subsequent slides. Now, to explain this process, I have included a short video just introducing about DNA. Let's look into detail about that video. Okay, coming on to the Watson-Crick model, let's see about the structure of the DNA in detail. Now, the DNA molecule consists of two strands, which we now know because it is double helix, that wind around one another to form a shape known as double-stranded helix. Each strand is a polymer in which monomeric units, for example, DAMP, DGMP, DCMP, and DTMP, are joined with each other by a phosphodiester bond between the 3-OH group and one nucleotide and 5-phosphate of the adjacent nucleotide. The backbone of the strands is made up of alternating phosphate and deoxyribose molecules. So we can see a deoxyribose molecule, a phosphate, a deoxyribose, a phosphate, and so on. So it is an alternating strand form of thing. It lies onto the exterior of the molecule while the bases point towards the inner core. So we can see these alternating phosphate and deoxyribose molecules lies on the exterior part known as the backbone, whereas the bases point, this A, T, T, A, G, C, these are all the inner bases which are pointing towards the inner core. Each strand has a direction or polarity indicated by a phosphate group at 5 carbon atom of the deoxyribose at one end and a OH group at 3 carbon of the deoxyribose at the other end. Accordingly, one strand is said to be running from 5 to 3 direction and the other in the 3 to 5 direction, and they are parallel to each other. So now we can see there are two strands of DNA. One runs into 5 to 3 direction and other ones run in 3 to 5 direction. So if there is A, T, T, A, then C, G, G, C, A, T, T, A, T, A, G, C, C, G. So these are the way the two strands of the DNA are formed. They are both parallel to each other and one is running in ascending and one is running in the descending direction. Correct? Now the bases are attached to an angle to the N-glycosidic bond which is nearly perpendicular to the backbone and are parallel to each other. Two strands are held together by the hydrogen bonds. As we can see from this, the two bands are or the two bonds are joined via the hydrogen. Hydrophobic interactions and van der Waals forces develop between the different bases. The formation of hydrogen bonds between the bases of two strands is very specific. So we can say if there is adenine and thymine, so ATA means adenine and T means thymine, pairing is done by hydrogen bond. Now we can see from here CG pairing, that is G's glucosine, and whereas cytosine, these are also bound by triple bond which is formed by the hydrogen. Proceeding on. Adenine, that is A, always bonds with thymine by two hydrogen bonds. We saw that in our previous slide. Guanine, which always bonds with cytosine with three hydrogen bonds, and adenine with thymidine by two bonds. Sequence of bases of the two strands of DNA is complementary to each other but not identical. So they may complement each other but they are not same or identical to each other. According to Chargaff's rule, if one strand has A, that is adenine, the opposite strand at the corresponding position always has a T. So adenine always bonds with thymine with two hydrogen bonds. So similarly, G of one strand corresponds to C of the other strand. That is guanine always bonds with the cytosine at the other end of the strand. So this is all about the Watson-Crick model of DNA, which is actually describing the structure. This helical turn is repeated at a regular interval of 30 for A, that is 3.4 nanometer, to give it a repeating structural feature, that is periodicity. The winding of the two strands into a helix produces two grooves of unequal width. So we can see this is 34A degree, that is 3.4 nanometer. The larger one is called the major groove and the smaller one is called the minor groove. So we can see this two-stranded helix. This is the minor groove, this one, and this one is the major groove. So this is the right-stranded helix with having minor grooves and the major grooves. So this is all about the structure of a DNA. We have seen what is DNA, what is the structure of DNA via Watson-Crick model. So now we can now summarize it and we have now an understanding about what is DNA and what could be the functions, possible functions of the DNA. Looking about them in detail. Now DNA is the genetic material passed from parent to the offspring, which we saw in our video as well. And it serves as the information to direct. It regulates the construction of the proteins which are necessary for the cell to perform all of its functions. How are proteins formed from DNA? By converting them into RNA, and then RNA forms the proteins. And that is why we call it, as we have read in our biology classes from our 12th standard, that proteins are the building blocks of our matter. So it also has a function of encoding information, mutation and recombination and gene expression. Because of all of this, we have the features of our parents. So basically, DNA is actually the main functional unit having most of or majorly all of the information required for our body to function properly. Following are the references. Thank you.